Yeah, the reason is
Hello. So, welcome back to Be Kind and Unwind with the YMAN. I will be talking to you about Superman and Lois, a show on the CW, one of my favorite shows on the CW. And as you can see, I am a big fan. This, of course, is, for those who have seen the show Smallville, this is the replicant leather jacket that the Red Blue Blur wore on the Smallville show that aired it ended in 2010, so yeah, about 12 years ago. And now my new favorite show is the show I just mentioned earlier, Superman and Lois. So before I continue talking about this great show that I want to share with all of you, I will give you a fair warning. Please shut this video off. This is definitely a spoiler alert for all of you out there. So if you haven't seen it yet, shut this off, go watch it, and then come back and watch this show. Also, do not forget, comment below after the video is over, of course, and subscribe and like, please. Onward with the discussion of the show Superman and Lois. Superman, aka Clark Kent, is played by Tyler Hoechlin, I believe is his name, and Lois is played by Bitsy Tulloch. If I'm butchering these names, it's because I am just horrible with pronouncing names. Anywho, they are married and they are both reporters. They work at Daily Planet, and Clark gets fired by someone who takes over the Daily Planet. His name is Morgan Edge, which later on we find out that he is also Kryptonian and Superman's half-brother. Let's talk about other supporting actors on the show. They have two sons. One is Jonathan Kent, played by Jordan Elsas, and Jordan Kent is played by Alexander Garfin. So there are other actors that I really enjoy watching on this show that I will probably mention later, but let's stick with the main ones. You know, Superman, Lois, and their two sons, Jonathan Kent and Jordan Kent. So I would like to mention to you that, as I said before, Clark got fired. And because, you know, Lois Lane cannot have that, she's like, I gotta stand up for my man. I gotta fight for my man. So I quit. She quits. If I'm not mistaken, she leaves the Daily Planet, and they end up moving to Smallville for a main reason being Clark's mother. His mother ends up being sick, and she is calling for his help, knowing obviously that he is also able to hear her, you know, from very far away. So they ended up moving there for that reason, but also Martha Kent, she has an inkling that something else is wrong with Smallville, which is the other reason, probably a bigger reason why she wants Clark to come back to Smallville with his family, of course. And what ends up happening, sure enough, Smallville is in some kind of danger. Something is amiss going on in that town. They have to find out what's going on. They eventually do. And there's a character that shows up later on. Probably, I want to say, the end of the episode or the beginning of the second episode of season 1. We all think it's Lex Luthor. He shows up in a spaceship and in an armored suit. Later on, we find out who he really is. His name is, in the comics and on the show, John Henry Irons. He has a daughter named Natalie Irons. They are both played by Hole Parks and Taylor Buck. So Hole Parks plays, like I said before, John Henry Irons, who we all know that, you know, at least those who are comic book geeks like me, becomes Steel. He is another superhero within the Superman lore, the Superman comic adventures. So yeah, and then he has a daughter named Natalie Irons. We also find out that they are from a different universe, a different Earth. In this Earth, he is married to Lois Lane, who turns out to be, I guess, in that Earth, Lois Irons. And they have a daughter named Natalie. So what ends up happening on that Earth, their Superman is evil. And that Superman kills Lois. Because of that, obviously, John Henry Irons, who is also a soldier in that world, and in that world he follows orders of the DOD that they have there, which is also ran by General Sam Lane, which I cannot emphasize what a great actor he is. I should have mentioned him before, but I'm mentioning him now. He is played by Dylan Walsh, who is, like I said before, an excellent actor. I love him. I think they couldn't have picked a better person to play Lois Lane's father. So yeah, he is in charge of the DOD, and on the other Earth that John Henry is from, he is his lieutenant, I guess, or he works for him, basically. So after the evil Superman kills Lois Lane, who is also a reporter in that alternate universe, he decides to escape that planet, that Earth, and I forget how or why he left his daughter behind. I want to say that his daughter is safe somewhere in a bunker or some secret hiding spot that the evil Superman I'm talking about, he cannot find. Maybe it's made out of lead? Not actually sure. Unless he's a terrible father, he just left his daughter behind in this alternate Earth full of evil Kryptonians, which I forget to mention. Whatever, I digress. Needless to say, he leaves and he finds his way into some kind of portal before the evil Superman tries to stop him. And he flies right through this portal with this spaceship that he built himself, or I don't know if I'm not entirely sure what how he finds this spaceship, or if he built it himself, because he is, after all, a genius, but it's too advanced, I want to say. Maybe this Earth is full of advanced technology that we're not used to. Maybe it's part of the DOD. Not really sure how it turns out. I'll try to leave a little comment below, to give you the proper information about why and how he got into this spaceship, how he got his hands on this spacecraft. But let's continue. So he goes into this portal, or through this portal, onto our Earth. And on this Earth, little does he know, the Superman on this Earth is not only a good Superman, but he's also married to Lois Lane. And he also finds out that Superman has an alter ego, Clark Kent. So at first, he is upset. Who wouldn't be? He's upset that, first of all, he's married to Lois Lane. So he's like, bullshit. And he's also a good Superman that he doesn't believe right away. He tries to kill him. He tries to basically just, get rid of him. And he knows that he's from, he knows his weakness. At least on that Earth, his weakness the same kind of weakness? I guess it is. Yeah, it's kryptonite, and he knows this. And his hammer is what he creates later on. Sorry, I'm going a little too fast here. I'm not really sure where the hammer comes into play, but it does come into play within the season, throughout the season somewhere. I think he's fighting with Superman in the beginning because he's like his enemy, and Superman. Sorry, let me reverse. He's fighting with our Superman, the good version of Superman, on this alternate universe. So what ends up happening is that later on he does find out that he's a good guy, and he, what we all thought was the villain of this whole show turns out to be a partner for, our Man of Steel. So we end up later on finding out that Morgan Edge, I think as I mentioned earlier, I think I said that, Morgan Edge is also Kryptonian, aka Tao-Ro, played by, so sorry, I don't know I don't know the actor's name, I apologize. I'm gonna also leave that here, what his actual name is, okay? But he is Superman's half-brother. I'll try to explain in the best way possible how he became Superman's half-brother. I know what you're all thinking out there, those especially who haven't seen the show. Lara. Did she really? Lara, as you all know, may know, is Superman's biological mother. And you're thinking to yourself, ooh, she did the nasty with some other Kryptonian that we all do not know, or who cares. So, that's not the case. We're going back to a civilized, way more advanced civilization, where on Krypton, according to Lara, she says that they used to take DNA from each Kryptonian and would mix it with each other, male and female, or whoever your partner was. I think she called it his betrothal, but she didn't want to marry him, And then what ended up happening, I believe, they took her DNA by force and then just combined with this other Kryptonian, Lara's DNA and this other person, whoever it was, and created a nice little baby Tao-Ro. So, eventually Lara ends up marrying Jor-El. They fall in love and they have Kal-El the natural way. And then before the planet explodes, sends him into space with a rocket ship, of course. And then Tao-Ro also escapes too, somehow. I forget how exactly, but he escapes and he goes to Earth as well. He lands in a desert or somewhere on Earth and creates his Fortress of Solitude in the desert. Unlike Superman, the opposite, he creates his Fortress of Solitude in the Arctic. So now you know who Tao-Ro is. And then his plan, which is the main plot he is the main antagonist with the main villainous plot, who basically he wants to start with Smallville to create an army of Kryptonians from this mechanism that I guess is from Krypton itself, or maybe he creates out of his own Fortress of Solitude. And he basically needs, willing host. In order to do that, there are these caverns really, really deep into the Earth, which happens to be in Smallville. That's why he's even there in the first place. And it's like orange kryptonite that gives normal mortals powers of Kryptonians, which, the flight and strength and heat vision and freeze breath and so on and so forth. So, with that and the, I'm going to call it the spiritual swap of Kryptonians moving into human hosts and taking over their bodies with these powers, Superman and Lois, being the investigative reporter that she is, the great one that she is, and also Clark as well. But, we all know Lois is better. She finds out together with Clark, they all try to stop this from happening, and they all find out that, what's going on with Morgan Edge and who he really is, and his, his plan to take over Smallville and later on probably the whole Earth or the world. They end up fighting each other, Superman and Taro, and they get they basically get into this battle with the help of Steel, aka John Henry Irons, and the whole plan is to just make sure to free the souls of Smallville and make sure that this device is being destroyed. In order to do that, I think Lara ends up telling Superman that he needs to somehow create a powerful enough blast. I want to say strong enough where it can be an equivalent to an atomic bomb, which is, those who are Superman fans, we all know he has this other ability called the super flare. So all he has to do is just concentrate his heat vision onto a specific spot or somewhere and really intensify it so much where he just explodes. So he takes his this device from Taro, and in order to destroy it, he intensifies his heat vision to the point where he just blows up as the equivalent of a nuclear explosion, and then ends up destroying the device, and yay, he saves the day as usual, right? So, like I said, this show is a great show. They have plenty of other actors in there that are like Lana Lang, who has a daughter. Her name is Sarah. They're both played by Emmanuel Critic, I think is her name. Sorry, Creek, who plays Lana Lang, and Indy Navarrete is Sarah. Also, you have the father of Sarah, who is played by Eric Valdez. He is the father. The character's name is Kyle Cushing. So, he is married to Lana. And what ends up happening there's a dynamic going on there with Kyle and Lana. They have their issues. That's also a part of the show, but Kyle gets taken over by one of the Kryptonians that is released by this device, and they before that they already had their domestic issues and whatnot, but they try to make it work, and then he gets taken. Kyle gets taken over by this entity, and it makes it worse. So, by the end of the show, he's really trying to be a good father, which is, like I said, a good dynamic going on there between him and Lana and Sarah. And he tries to explain to them that he's trying to better himself. I like that little dynamic. That little addition to the whole series of Superman and Lois. And, it's just like a nice little bonus, I guess you can call it, for me at least. And at the end, when Superman saves the day, he is released from this entity, and he becomes the good father that he really wants to be towards the end of the show, or the end of the series. And Lana Lang and Sarah, they all come together with Kyle and almost like happily ever after. The entire series is fantastic. I really do enjoy also the CGI, the special effects to it. It just gives the show more of a cinematic view to it, like a little darker than the other CW shows, but it works for it. It really does. So what else can I mention about this series? It's it's one of my top-notch favorite shows that I'm watching. There are other shows like sci-fi shows that I also like that I won't mention just yet. Maybe I'll discuss it in a different video. There's also a second season still going on right now as we speak, and it's not done yet. Once it's done, I will also talk about that season. So for those who have not seen the show, if I said this earlier in the video, if you would like to watch it, I recommend you do. You're not going to regret it, I promise you. So other than that, I'm gonna end this video by saying please subscribe and like this video. Subscribe to my channel and follow me. As always, see you next time on Be Kind and Unwind. Ciao.
It's caught in the crossfire. It's caught in the